Alright, let's talk about wokeonomics. About 9 months ago, at the Super Bowl, Gillette, the razor company, released an advertisement that was met with a controversial response, titled, "We Believe the Best Men Can Be," and they called it a short film. I'm going to be taking a look at these aspects of the film, but firstly, let's actually take a look at what they broadcast. It's almost a montage of bullying, sexism from men, and clips of the Me Too movement, culminating in a call to action for men to stand up and end this sort of behavior. Throughout the film, the quality of their products is never mentioned. There's no mention of prices or sales, no new razor. So what was it trying to do? Well, it's easy to say it was trying to sell a product because it's an ad, but it wasn't marketing a specific item, it was advertising its entire brand. This is where wokeonomics comes into it. That term is given to brands who exploit current social issues by latching onto them and taking a stance, despite the fact you can't really say that a corporation in its entirety believes in something. Oftentimes, it's not a controversial stance. An example of this is companies changing their logos to rainbows during Pride Month. I mean, the mainstream has accepted the gay community, so they're not being brave by doing that, it's just financially smart. And there is a chance that Gillette didn't think this would be controversial. Assuming that, how is this ad meant to make me feel? This ad starts with a person looking in the mirror, an obvious visual metaphor about reflection, which is what the entire ad is. There's a male narrator guiding us through the visuals and reflecting on what the world considers masculine.
Is this the best a man can get?
He reflects on how these masculine behaviors affect people, specifically women and children. It's meant to invoke sympathy from the audience and make them believe there is an issue. This issue is solved in the second half of the ad with the idea that the narrator puts forward.
We believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
This communicates that the audience needs to change their behavior to make the world a better place. And then Gillette slapped their logo on the end with a textual call to action, saying to visit their website where they're promoting men who have done great things. All in all, the ad is pretty simple, a bit preachy, but it would go unnoticed depending on the context. This was released at the Super Bowl, a guaranteed way to get your ad noticed on a global scale, especially by people who love sport, like older men, their #1 consumer demographic, so they were definitely hoping to get noticed. And given that the subject is currently a controversial one, it's likely they wanted to be talked about. This was released at the height of the Me Too movement and even includes real news footage about the sexual assaults that men committed. They were kicking a beehive. Even if you ignore all that, this ad is still filled with criticism towards the audience they broadcast it to. So who was this ad for? Well, a spokesperson for Gillette later said that they were trying to appeal to a younger male demographic, which makes sense in regards to the social message they put forward. A younger audience is more likely to agree with it. The person delivering the message, the narrator, is a male, so a male audience would be more engaged and find the voice more trustworthy subconsciously. Despite being about how men's actions can affect women, this ad is filled with men. Obnoxious men doing the actions the ad deems negative, stoic men reflecting on masculinity, and extremely average but relatable men stepping in. So they nailed the male aspect. For the young part of their target audience, aside from the social message, they later released it on their YouTube channel in order to reach them, but it backfired. The negative responses to this ad range from people calling it preachy with its message to all-out boycotts because they believed Gillette hated men. And while the extremes may have been a minority of the responses, they were the most vocal. The hatred towards Gillette made international news, and people still meme the hell out of it to this day. But that doesn't mean this ad didn't work. I don't think they intended to make people angry, but everyone was talking about Gillette, and there is no such thing as bad publicity. The mass sharing of this ad made it spread to an even larger audience than they probably anticipated, and certain people who might have never seen it did. That's more potential customers for them. Also, the ad might not have resonated with its target audience, but it was a lot more engaging for women. Many were sharing positive opinions of the ad on Twitter. Despite all the anger, the memes, people pointing out the hypocrisy of Gillette, they still got exactly what they wanted. They made the most memorable ad at the Super Bowl, and people like me are still talking about it. Their stock prices didn't go any lower during this ad. I mean, sales didn't go up either, but remember, they weren't advertising something that could be sold. They just wanted you to talk about them. And you did.